The Fool. Moment to moment, and with every step, the fool leaves the past behind. He carries nothing more than his purity, innocence, and trust. At this moment the fool has the support of the universe to make this jump into the unknown. Adventures await him in the river of life. If you trust your intuition right now, your feeling of rightness of things you cannot go wrong. Your action may appear foolish to others, or even to yourself, if you try to analyze them with the rational mind. But trust and innocence are the guides, not skepticism and past experience. Don't create a wall of knowledge around you. Whatever experience comes to you, let it happen, and then go on dropping it. Go on cleaning your mind, go on dying to the past so you remain in the present. Existence. Home is not a physical place in the outside world, but an inner quality of relaxation and acceptance. We human beings tend to forget this, as we pursue our own private agendas and believe we must fight to get what we need. But ultimately our sense of separateness is just an illusion, manufactured by the narrow preoccupations of the mind. Now is the time to look at whether you are allowing yourself to receive the extraordinary gift of feeling at home wherever you are. If you are, be sure to take time to savor it so it can deepen and remain with you. If on the other hand you've been feeling like the world is out to get you, it's time to take a break. Go outside tonight and look at the stars. The inner voice. The inner voice speaks not in words, but of the heart, like the face at the center of this card, alert, watchful, and able to accept both the dark and the light, symbolized by the two hands holding the crystal. The crystal itself represents the clarity that comes from transcending all dualities. There are times in our lives when too many voices seem to be pulling us this way and that. Our very confusion in such situations is a reminder to seek silence and centered within. Creativity. The figure in this card is literally possessed by the creative force. The experience of creativity is the energy that fuels the birth of all things. This energy has no form or structures. Yet all the forms and structures come out of it. It makes no difference what particular form your creativity takes. The important thing is to be open to what wants to be expressed through you. Remember that we don't possess our creations, they do not belong to us. True creativity arises from a union with the divine. Creativity is the quality that you bring to the activity that you are doing. It is an attitude, an inner approach, how you look at things. Everybody can be creative. Whatsoever you do, if you do it joyfully, if you do it lovingly, if your act of doing is not purely economical, then it is creative. If it gives you growth, it is spiritual, it is creative, it is divine. You become more divine as you become more creative. The Rebel. The powerful and authoritative figure in this card is clearly the master of his own destiny. Whether he is wealthy or poor, the rebel is really an emperor because he has broken the chains of society's repressive conditioning and opinions. His very way of being is rebellious, not because he is fighting against anybody or anything, but because he has discovered his own true nature and is determined to live in accordance with it. The rebel challenges us to be courageous enough to take responsibility for who we are and to live our truth. No-thingness. Being in the gap can be disorienting and even scary. Nothing to hold on to, no sense of direction, not even a hint of what choices and possibilities might lie ahead. But it was just this state of pure potential that existed before the universe was created. All you can do now is to relax into this no-thingness, fall into this silence between the words. Watch this gap between the outgoing and incoming breath. And treasure each empty moment of the experience. Something sacred is about to be born. That's why I would like to make it no-thingness, it is all. It is vibrant with all possibilities. It is potential, absolute potential. It is unmanifest yet, but it contains all. In the beginning is nature, in the end is nature, so why do we make so much fuss? Why in the middle, becoming so worried, so anxious, so ambitious, why create such despair? Nothingness to nothingness is the whole journey. The lovers. At the most earthly level, love is sexual attraction. Many of us remain stuck there because our conditioning has burdened our sexuality with all kinds of expectations and repressions. Actually, the biggest problem with sexual love is that it never lasts. Only if we accept this fact can we then really celebrate it for what it is. Then as we mature, we can begin to experience the love that exists beyond sexuality. This love is based in freedom, not expectation or need. Unfortunately, we think sexuality is love. It is not. Sexuality is very animal. It certainly has the potential of growing into love, but it is not actual love, only a potential. When your love is not just a desire for the other, when your love is not only a need, when love is sharing, when your love is not that of a beggar but an emperor, when your love is not asking for something in return but is ready only to give for the sheer joy of giving, that is compassion. Real love comes not from trying to solve our neediness by depending on another, but by developing our own inner richness and maturity. Then we have so much love to give that we naturally draw lovers towards us. Awareness. The veil of illusion that has been keeping you from perceiving reality as it is starting to burn away. The face of a very delicate Buddha becomes visible. The awareness that is growing in you now is not the result of any conscious doing, nor do you need to struggle to make something happen. Let yourself settle and remember that deep inside you are just a witness. It will help you to become detached, and a new awareness will lift the veil from your eyes. Mind can never be intelligent, only no mind is intelligent. Only no mind is original. This mind burdened by the memories of the past, burdened by the projections of the future, you go on living, at the minimum. Once you start dropping thoughts, life becomes what awareness is. Courage. When we are faced with a very difficult situation, we have a choice. We can either be resentful and try to find someone to blame for the hardships, or we can face the challenges and grow. The flower shows us the way, as its passion for life leads it out of the darkness and into the light. There is no point fighting against the challenges of life, or try to avoid or deny them. They are there, and if the seed is to become the flower, we must go through them. Be courageous enough to grow into the flower you are meant to be. The seed cannot know what is going to happen. The seed has never known the flower. And the seed cannot even believe that he has the potentiality to become a beautiful flower. Unknown is the path. The same is the path for man. It is arduous. Much courage will be needed. Aloneness. When there is no significant other in our lives, we can either be lonely, or enjoy the freedom that solitude brings. When we find no support among others, we can either feel isolated and bitter, or celebrate the fact that our vision is strong enough to survive the human need for approval of family, friend, or colleagues. If you are facing such a situation now, be aware of how you are choosing to view your aloneness and take responsibility for the choice you have made. Be a light unto yourself. Each of us must develop within ourselves the capacity to make our way through the darkness without any companions, maps, or guides. When you are lonely, you are thinking of the other, you are missing the other. Loneliness is a negative state. Loneliness is absence of the other. Aloneness is the presence of oneself. Aloneness is very positive. Change. The symbol in this card is an enormous wheel, representing time, fate, karma. The symbol of yin and yang, male and female, creative and receptive, lies at the center. It has often been said that the only unchanging thing in the world is change itself. Life is continuously changing, evolving, dying and being reborn. All opposites play a part in this vast circular pattern. If you cling to the edge of the wheel, you can get dizzy. Move towards the center of this cyclone and relax, knowing that this too will pass. Life repeats itself mindlessly. Unless you become mindful, it will go on repeating like a wheel. Just see if you can watch just for a few days. You will see a pattern emerging. Once you see the pattern, you can get out of it. Breakthrough. The subject in this card indicates energy and strength. The brilliant glow emanates from the solar plexus. The posture is one of determination. All of us occasionally reach a point when enough is enough. At such times it seems we must do something, anything, even if it later turns out to be a mistake, to throw off the burdens and restrictions that are limiting us. If you are now feeling that enough is enough, allow yourself to take the risk of shattering the old patterns and limitations that have kept your energy from flowing. In doing so, you will be amazed at the vitality and empowerment this breakthrough can bring to your life. To transform breakdowns into breakthroughs is the whole function of a master. It is the greatest adventure in life to go through a breakdown consciously. For many lives, you have been in chaos. Zen, or meditation, is the method which will help you go through the chaos, through the dark night of the soul, balanced, disciplined, alert. The dawn is not far away, but before you can reach the dawn, the dark night has to be passed through. And as the dawn becomes closer, the night will become darker. New vision. The figure on this card is being born anew. Now you are presented with an opportunity to see life in all its dimensions. We come to know from experience that the dark and the difficult are needed as much as the light and easy, then we begin to have a very different perspective on the world. By allowing all of life's colors to penetrate us, we become more integrated. Transformation. The symbols of transformation, the sword that cuts through illusion, the snake that rejuvenates itself by shedding its skin, the broken chain of limitations, and the yin-yang symbol of transcending duality. One of its hands rests on its lap, open and receptive. The other reaches down to touch the mouth of a sleeping face, symbolizing the silence that comes when we are at rest. This is a time for a deep let-go. Allowing any pain, sorrow, or difficulty just to be there, accepting it. It is very much like the experience of Buddha. When, after years of seeking, he finally gave up knowing there was nothing more that he could do. That very night, he became enlightened. Transformation comes, like death, in its own time. And like death, it takes you from one dimension into another. It brings a tremendous transformation. Integration. The image of integration is the fusion of opposites. This is a time of communication between the previously experienced dualities of life. Rather than night opposing day, dark suppressing light, they work together. Unless it is resolved there, it cannot be resolved anywhere else. The politics is within you, it is between the two parts of the mind. If the two minds disappear as two and become one, then integration arises. These two minds becoming one, the meeting of the male and the female within, the meeting of the yin and the yang. Conditioning. The image we have of ourselves comes not from our own direct experience but from the opinions of others. A personality imposed from the outside replaces the individuality that could have grown from within. Unable to move freely and unconscious of our own true identity. It is time to take a look at your own reflection in the pond, and make a move to break out of whatever you have been conditioned by others to believe about yourself. Unless you drop your personality, you will not be able to find your individuality. Individuality is given by existence, personality is imposed by society. Thunderbolt. The card shows a tower being burned, destroyed, blown apart. A man and woman are leaping from it not because they want to, but they have no choice. In the background is a transparent, meditating figure representing the witnessing consciousness. You might be feeling pretty shaky right now, as if the earth is rocking beneath your feet. Your sense of security is being challenged, and the natural tendency is to try to hold on to whatever you can. But this inner earthquake is both necessary and important. If you allow it, you will emerge from the wreckage stronger and more available for new experiences. After the fire, the earth is replenished, after the storm the air is clear. Try to watch the destruction with detachment, almost as if it were happening to somebody else. Say yes to the process. Silence. The silent brings peace and understanding. Now is a very precious time. It will be easy for you to rest inside, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, and the quality of your inner silence permeates everything you do. It might make some people uncomfortable, accustomed as they are to all the noise and activity of the world. Seek out those who can resonate with your silence, or enjoy your aloneness. The insights that come to you in these moments will be manifested later on, in a more outgoing phase of your life. Time changes, the world goes on changing, but the experience of silence, the joy of it, remains the same. Past lives. While it might be entertaining to fantasize about past lives, it is just a distraction. The real point is to see and understand the karmic patterns of our lives, and their roots in an endless repetitive cycle that traps us in unconscious behavior. This is a wake-up call. The events in your life are trying to show you a pattern. Innocence. The old man in this card is at home, with what life has brought, representing a time of letting go and relaxation. They are a reflection of his own qualities. The innocence of children is beautiful but ignorant. It will be replaced by mistrust and doubt, as the child grows and learns that the world can be a dangerous and threatening place. But the innocence of a life lived fully has a quality of wisdom and acceptance of the ever-changing wonder of life. Zen says that if you drop knowledge, and within knowledge everything is included, your name, your identity, everything, because this has been given to you by others, if you drop all that has been given by others, you will have a totally different quality to your being. Beyond illusion. Behind the butterfly is the face of consciousness, looking inward. The card reminds us not to look outside for what is real, but to look within. When we focus on externals, we too often get caught up in judgments. This is good, this is bad, I want this, I don't want that. These judgments keep us trapped in our illusions, our old habits and patterns. Drop your opinionated mind, and move inside. There, you can relax into your own deepest truth, where the difference between dreams and reality is already known. Completion. In the ever-changing flow of life, there are moments in which we come to a point of completion. In these moments that have occupied our attention for so long, we can either be in despair because we don't want the situation to come to an end, or we can be grateful and accepting of the fact that life is full of endings and new beginnings. Whatever has been absorbing your time and energy is now coming to an end. In completing it, you will be clearing the space for something new to begin. Use this interval to celebrate both the end of the old and the coming of the new. This is the way of Zen, not to say things to their completion. This has to be understood. Not to say everything means to give an opportunity to the listener to complete it. All answers are incomplete. The Master. He has no private goals, no desire that anything should be other than the way it is. Be inspired by his example. If you find such a master, you are blessed. Beyond the mind there is an awareness. The whole work of meditation is to make you aware of all that is mind and disidentify yourself from it. That very separation brings an end to the mind from playing the role of the master. Masters don't teach the truth, there is no way to teach it. The master-disciple relationship is the relationship between a caterpillar and a butterfly. The butterfly cannot prove that the caterpillar can become a butterfly, there is no logical way. But the butterfly can provoke a longing in the caterpillar, that is possible.
The Creator. The Master in this card has harnessed the energy and is able to use it for creation rather than destruction. He invites us to recognize and participate with him in the understanding that belongs to those who have mastered the fires of passion, without repressing them or allowing them to get destructive and out of balance. Anything that we undertake now, with the understanding that comes from maturity, will bring enrichment to our lives and to the lives of others. Using whatever skills you have, whatever you have learned from your own life experience, it is time to express yourself. Sharing. The Queen of Fire doesn't take inventories or put something aside for later. She dispenses her treasures without limits. It suggests that you too are in a situation where you have an opportunity to share your love, your joy, and your laughter. And in sharing, you find that you feel even more full. You find that you can enjoy without possessiveness or attachment. Everything around you seems to be coming together now. Enjoy it, ground yourself in it, and let the abundance in you and around you overflow. Intensity. The figure in this card is moving with a single pointed focus of one who knows precisely where he is going. But his intensity should not be mistaken for manic energy. The intensity represented by the Knight of Fire belongs to a recognition that now is the only moment there is. When you act with the intensity of the Knight of Fire, it is likely to create ripples in the water around you. Some will feel uplifted and refreshed by your presence. Others may feel threatened or annoyed. But the opinions of others matter little, nothing can hold you back right now. You have not to be a follower, an imitator. You have to be an original individual. You have to find your innermost core on your own, with no guides, no guiding scriptures. It is a dark night, but with the intense fire of inquiry you are bound to come to the sunrise. Playfulness. Life is rarely as serious as we believe it to be. And when we recognize this fact, it responds by giving us more and more opportunities to play. The woman in this card is celebrating the joy of being alive, that life is a game, and she's playing the part of a clown with no sense of embarrassment or pretense. When the Page of Fire enters your life, it is a sign that you are ready for the fresh and the new. Something wonderful is just on the horizon. The moment you start seeing life as non-serious, a playfulness, all the burden on your heart disappears. All the fear of death, of life, of love, everything disappears. Possibilities. The eagle has an overview of all the possibilities contained in the landscape below. This card indicates that a world of possibilities are open to you. You can work easily with others. Because you are relaxed and at ease, you can recognize possibilities as they present themselves. Sometimes even before others can see them. Because you are in tune with your own true nature. Experiencing. An experience is something that can be captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself. Our connectedness with all that surrounds us. If you haven't heard nature lately, now is a good time to give her an opportunity. Participation. Each figure holds the right hand up, in an attitude of receiving, and the left down, in an attitude of giving. You have an opportunity to participate with others, to make your contribution to creating something greater and more beautiful than each of you could manage alone. Your participation will not only nourish you, but will also contribute something precious to the whole. Very few people even become aware of things which are happening. We are behaving almost like blind people. In such a beautiful world, we are living in small ponds of our misery. So even if somebody wants to pull you out, you struggle. You don't want to be pulled out of your misery, of your suffering. Become a participant, not a spectator. Philosophy is speculation. Zen is participation. Totality. These three women, free, yet alert and interdependent. In a trapeze act, nobody can afford to be absent, even for a split second. And it is this total attentiveness to the moment at hand that is represented here. We may feel there are too many things to do at once. Instead of taking one task at a time and getting on with it. Or perhaps we think our task is boring because we've forgotten that it's not what you do, but how you do it that matters. Developing the knack of being total in responding to whatever comes, as it comes, is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Taking one step through life at a time, giving each step your complete attention and energy, can bring a new vitality and creativity to all that you do. Whatsoever you are doing, be absorbed in it so utterly that the mind thinks nothing, and try to see when you are not total. These are moments which have to be dropped. Whenever you are in the head thinking, calculating, you are not total. Success. This character is on top of the world right now, celebrating his success. Because of your willingness to accept the recent challenges of life. You will be able to take the future as it comes without regrets. But don't be tempted to try to hold on to this abundant moment, so that it lasts forever. Keep in mind that this too will pass. What is wrong with being low? It is a relaxation. A peak is an excitement. And nobody can exist continuously in an excitement. Stress. The quality of stress represented by this card visits all of us at times, but perfectionists are particularly vulnerable to it. We create it ourselves, with the idea that without us nothing will happen, especially in the way we want it to. Things are happening of their own accord. There is no need to make any struggle, any effort. There is no need to fight for anything. I can relax and be. Uncertainty creates tension. Nothing is certain. Traveling. The figure moving on the path is not concerned about the goal. He or she knows that the journey is the goal. The pilgrimage itself is. Each step on the path is important in itself. When this card appears in a reading, it indicates a time of change. An inner movement from one way of being to another. This card promises that the going will bring sense of adventure and growth. There is no need to struggle or plan too much. The traveling card also reminds us to accept and embrace the new. This attitude of openness and acceptance invites new friends and experiences into our lives. There is no final destination, just the journey in itself is life, not reaching to some point. No goal. Moving joyously, without bothering about any destination. If you really reach the destination of life, then what? Exhaustion. This is the portrait of one whose whole life energy has been depleted. In his efforts to keep fueling the machine of self-importance and productivity, he has been so busy keeping it all together and making sure everything runs smoothly, that he has forgotten to really rest. To abandon his duty for a trip to the beach could mean the whole structure might come tumbling down. The message of this card is not just about being a workaholic. It is about all the ways in which we set up safe but unnatural routines for ourselves and by doing so, keep the spontaneous away from our doors. Life isn't a business to be managed, it's a mystery to be lived. Break out of the factory, and take a little trip into the uncharted. Your work can flow more smoothly from a relaxed state of mind. Suppression. The figure on this card is quite literally all tied up in knots. He has repressed his own vitality trying to meet so many demands and expectations. He has given up all his own power in return for being accepted. The danger of suppressing one's natural energy in this way is a potential for explosion. It is essential to find a way to release whatever tensions and stresses might be building up inside you right now. Anything to shake up your energy and allow it to circulate freely. Don't wait for a catastrophe to happen. The source. When we begin a creative project, it is this source that we tune into. This card reminds us that there is an energy available to us, and that we tap into it by getting grounded, centered, and silent enough to be in contact with the source. It is within each of us, pure energy, pulsating, available. It is ready to give us anything we need to accomplish something. So whether you are beginning something new and need inspiration right now, go to the source. Come out of the head and go to the basic source. It is aware of the uses of energy in the head. But if all the energy is used in the head, you will never become aware of your very potential. Healing. It is a time when the deeply buried wounds of the past are coming to the surface, ready and available to be healed. The figure in this card is vulnerable and open. The love that surrounds him is dissolving his struggle and suffering. When we are under the healing influence of the King of Water, we are no longer hiding from ourselves or others. In this attitude of openness and acceptance we can be healed, and help others also to heal. Be aware of your wound. Don't help it to grow, let it be healed, and it will be healed. The less the head, the more the wound will heal. With no head there is no wound. Live a headless life. Move as a total being and accept things whatsoever happens. Someone insults you, accept it, don't react, and see what happens. Suddenly you will feel an energy flowing in you that you've not felt before. Receptivity. Receptivity represents the feminine. She is completely immersed in the water. She has no head, no busy and aggressive mind to hinder her pure receptivity. She brings a time of gratitude for whatever life brings, without any expectations or demands. Neither duty or thought of merit or reward are important. Sensitivity, intuition, and compassion are the qualities that shine forth now, dissolving all the obstacles that keep us separate from each other. Listening means forgetting yourself completely. Only then can you listen. When you listen attentively to somebody, you forget yourself. If you can't forget yourself, you never listen. When you listen you become receptive, you become feminine. To arrive, one has to become feminine. You cannot reach God as aggressive invaders, conquerors. You can reach God only, or it will be better to say, God can reach you only when you are receptive. Trust. This quality of absolute trust with no reservations or secret safety nets gives us a tremendous sense of exhilaration if we can take the jump and move into the unknown, even if the idea scares us to death. Don't make any elaborate plans or preparations. We just jump with hardly a thought for what happens next. Don't waste your life for that which is going to be taken away. Trust life. If you can trust, only then can you drop your knowledge, only then can you put your mind aside. And with trust, something immense opens up. Then this life is no longer ordinary life. Understanding. The bird pictured on this card is looking out from what seems to be a cage. There is no door, and actually the bars are disappearing. The bars were an illusion, and this small bird is being summoned by the freedom and encouragement of the others. A new understanding that the cage has always been open, and the sky has always been there for us to explore, can make us feel a little shaky at first. It's fine and natural to be shaky, but don't let it overshadow the opportunity to experience the adventure on offer. Spread your wings and be free. Just drop clinging to this cage, move out of the cage and the whole sky is yours. Friendliness. The branches of these two trees are intertwined, and their fallen petals blend together on the ground. But they stand individually, each rooted in the soil in their own connection with the earth. They represent true friendship, a natural connection, no neediness, no desire to change the other into something else. This card indicates a readiness to enter this quality of friendliness. Without expectations or demands. It is simple, you don't depend on others and you don't make others depend on you. Then it is always a friendship. You relate, but you don't create a marriage. Marriage is out of fear. Celebration. These three women dancing in the wind and the rain remind us that celebration never need depend on outside circumstances. We need not wait for a special holiday or a formal occasion, nor a sunny and cloudless day. True celebration arises from a joy that is first experienced deep within, and spills over into an overflow of dance and laughter. When you choose this card, it indicates that you are becoming more available and open to the many opportunities that are to celebrate in life. Turning in. The woman in this image has a faint smile on her face. In fact, she is just watching the antics of the mind, not judging, not trying to stop them, not identified, just watching as if they were traffic on the road, or ripples on the surface of a pond. And the antics of the mind are slightly amusing, as it jumps up and down and twists this way and that, trying to get your attention and seduce you into the game. To develop the knack of taking a distance from the mind is one of the greatest blessings. It is what meditation is all about, not chanting a mantra, or repeating an affirmation, but just watching, as if the mind belongs to somebody else. You are ready to take this distance now, and to watch the show without getting caught up in the drama. You have been coming to frustration. That there is no fulfillment through desire. That contentment is impossible. Seeing this truth, you stop desiring. It disappears. Desiring is no more clouding your mind. Clinging to the past. The figure pictured in this card is so preoccupied with clutching her box of memories that she has turned her back on the blessings available here and now. Her nostalgia for the past really makes her a blokehead. She is not available to taste the pleasures that offer themselves in the present. It's time to face up to the fact that past is gone, and any effort to repeat it is a sure way to stay stuck in old blueprints that you would have already outgrown if you hadn't been so busy clinging to what you have already been through. Take a deep breath, and bid it a fond and reverent farewell. Life is passing you by, and you're in danger of becoming an old fossil before your time. Don't cling to the past. Because clinging to the past is stupidity. It is no longer there. And don't cling to the present because it has gone. And don't cling to the present because that is also going and soon it will be past. Don't cling to the future, hopes, imaginations, plans for tomorrow, because tomorrow will become today, will become yesterday. Everything is going to become yesterday. Everything is going to go out of your hands. Clinging will simply create misery. You will have to let go. The dream. You're going to meet your soulmate, the perfect person who will meet all your needs and fulfill all your dreams. Wrong. This fantasy has its roots in memories where we were secure. It's no wonder we have hankered to return to that place all our lives. And it's amazing we hang on to it so stubbornly in the face of reality. Nobody, whether it's your current mate or some dreamed-of partner in the future, has any obligation to your happiness, nor could they even if they wanted to. Real love comes not from trying to solve our neediness by depending on another, but by developing our own inner richness and maturity. Then we have so much love to give that we naturally draw lovers towards us. We come alone into this world, we go alone. The very idea of togetherness arises because we are alone, and the aloneness hurts. We want to drown our aloneness in a relationship. That's why we become so much involved in love. Because you cannot be alone. You are going to avoid yourself somehow. Projections. The man and woman in this card are facing each other. Yet they are not able to see each other clearly. Each is projecting an image they have constructed in their minds, covering the real face of the person they are looking at. All of us can get caught up in projecting movies of our own making onto the situations and people surrounding us. It happens when we are not fully aware of our own expectations, desires, and judgments. Instead of taking responsibility for them and owning them, we try to attribute them to others. A projection can be devilish or divine, disturbing or comforting, but it is a projection nonetheless. A cloud that prevents us from seeing reality as it is. The only way out is to recognize the game. When you find a judgment arising about another, turn it around. Does what you see in others really belong to you? Is your vision clear, or clouded by what you want to see? So the only way to reach to the truth is to learn how to drop the help of the mind. The mind is the problem. Because mind can create only dreams. The dreams start looking like reality. Then you are intoxicated, then you are not in your senses. Then whatsoever you see is just your projection. Because every mind lives in his own world. Letting go. In this image of lotus leaves, we can see in the rippling of the water that one drop has just fallen. It is a precious moment. In slipping off the leaf, the drop loses its previous identity. Just on the edge between the known and the unknowable. To choose this card is a recognition that something is finished, something is completing. Whatever it is. A job, a relationship, a home you have loved, anything that might have helped you to define who you are. It is time to let go of it, allowing any sadness but not trying to hold on. Something greater is awaiting you, new dimensions are there to be discovered. You are past the point of no return now. Go with it. It represents liberation. In existence there is nobody who is superior and nobody who is inferior. But man wants to be higher than others, he wants to conquer nature, hence he has to fight continuously. All complexity arises out of this fight. The innocent person is one who has renounced fighting, who is no longer interested in being higher. No longer interested in proving that he is someone special. Like this dewdrop on the lotus leaf, who has become part of the infinity, who has melted, merged, and become one with the ocean, who has no idea of the I. The disappearance of the I is innocence. Laziness. This gentleman clearly thinks he's got it made. He doesn't have the energy to get up and do anything because he thinks he's done it already. He hasn't yet turned to see the mirror cracking around him on his right, a sure sign that the place he thinks he's finally arrived at is about to shatter and dissolve before his very eyes. The message this card brings is that this poolside resort is not your final destination. The journey isn't over yet, as that white bird flying into the vastness of the sky is trying to show. Your complacency might have arisen from a real sense of achievement, but now it's time to move on. There are skies upon skies still waiting to be explored. When you are lazy, it is a negative taste. You simply feel that you have no energy, you simply feel dull. When you are in a state of non-doing, then you are full of energy, you are perfectly aware. There is a possibility the mind can deceive you. It can rationalize laziness as non-doing. It can say, I have become a Zen master. But you are not deceiving anybody else. You will be deceiving only yourself. So be alert. Harmony. The experience of resting in meditation is not something that can be forced. It comes naturally, as we grow more in tune with our own inner silences. The figure on this card reflects the playfulness and intelligence that comes when we are able to connect with the heart and move into the world from there. Let yourself be softer and more receptive now, because an inexpressible joy is waiting for you just around the corner. Nobody else can point it out to you, and when you find it you won't be able to find the words to express it to others. But it's there, ready to be discovered. To be simple is arduous, because to be simple costs everything that you have. You have to lose all to be simple. That's why people have chosen to be complex and they have forgotten how to be simple. Only a simple heart sings with God in deep harmony. Going with the flow. The figure in this card is completely relaxed and at ease in the water, letting it take him where it will. He has mastered the art of being passive and receptive without being dull or sleepy. He is just available to the currents of life, with never a thought of saying I don't like that, or I prefer to go the other way. Every moment in life we have a choice whether to enter life's waters and float, or to try to swim upstream. When this card appears in a reading, it is an indication that you are able to float now, trusting that life will support you in your relaxation and take you exactly where it wants you to go. Allow this feeling of trust and relaxation to grow more and more. Everything is happening exactly as it should. When I say become water, I mean don't remain stagnant. Move like water. Lao Tzu says, the way of the Tao is a watercourse way. It moves like water. It always moves towards the depth, it always searches for the lowest ground. It is non-ambitious, it never hankers to be the first, it wants to be the last. Remember, Jesus says, those who are the last here will be the first in my kingdom of God. He is talking about the watercourse way of Tao. Be non-ambitious. Ambition means going uphill. Water goes down. It does not want to declare itself unique. It has no ego idea. Control. There is a time and a place for control, but if we put it in charge of our lives, we end up totally rigid, ordered and perfect. But not alive, no spontaneity or vulnerability is allowed to enter. The image of the King of Clouds reminds us to take a deep breath, and take it easy. If mistakes happen, it's okay. If things get out of hand, it's probably just what the doctor ordered. There is much more to life than being on top of things. Controlled persons are always nervous because deep down turmoil is still hidden. If you are uncontrolled, flowing, alive, then you are not nervous. There is no question of being nervous. Whatsoever happens, happens. You have no expectations for the future, you are not performing. Then why should you be nervous? To control the mind, one has to remain so cold and frozen that no life energy is allowed to move into your limbs, into your body. If energy is allowed to move, those repressions will surface. That's why people have learnt how to be cold. Morality. Morality has restricted the energy of life to the narrow confines of the mind. It cannot flow there. So one has to become proper and stiff and severe, and always ready to see every situation as black and white, like the jewel she wears around her neck. The Queen of Clouds lurks in the minds of all of us, who have been brought up with rigid ideas of good and bad, sinful and virtuous, acceptable and unacceptable, moral and immoral. It's important to remember that all these judgments of the mind are just product of our conditioning. And whether our judgments are applied to ourselves or to others, they keep us from experiencing the beauty and godliness that lies within. Only when we break through the cage of our conditioning and reach the truth of our own hearts can we begin to see life as it really is. But once morality has come out of your awareness, not out of a certain discipline, then it is a totally different matter. Then you will respond in every situation out of your awareness. And whatever you do will be good. Awareness cannot do anything that is bad. That is the ultimate beauty of awareness, that anything that comes out of it is simply beautiful, is simply right and without any effort and without any practice. Fighting. The figure in this card is completely covered in armor. Only his glare of rage is visible. In the background we see the shadowy movie that plays in this man's mind. Two figures fighting for a castle. An explosive temper or a smoldering rage often masks a deep feeling of pain. We think that if we frighten people away, we can avoid being hurt even more. In fact, just the opposite is the case. By covering our wounds with armor, we are preventing them from being healed. By lashing out at others, we keep ourselves from getting the love and nourishment we need. If this description fits you, it's time to stop fighting. There is so much love available to you if you just let it in. Start by forgiving yourself. You're worth it. One moment we are here, and another we have gone. And for this simple moment, how much fuss we make. How much ambition, struggle, conflict, anger, hatred. Creating so much fuss, fighting, hurting each other, trying to possess, trying to boss, trying to dominate. All that politics. Mind. When we forget that the mind is meant to be a servant and not allow it to run our lives, the atmosphere becomes polluted by arguments and opinions. But wait. The mind is what makes us human. It's the source of all progress, all great truths. If you believe that, give yourself total permission to say whatever is on your mind. You'll be amazed at the amount of rubbish that comes spewing forth. The page of clouds is telling you that somebody, somewhere is stuck in a head trip. Take a look and make sure it isn't you. The situation of the head keeps you occupied. Thoughts go on inside your mind. It remains in the background. It is constantly there. It surrounds you like a cloud. With this cloud you cannot know reality. This cloud has to be dropped, and it is just with your decision to drop it that it will disappear. You are clinging to it. The cloud is not interested in you. Remember that. Schizophrenia. The indecisive and dualistic aspect of the mind is a normal condition of man, at least now. It may not have been so, but centuries of conditioning, civilization, culture, have made man a crowd divided, split, contradictory. Whatever decision we make, we will always wonder if we should have decided the other way. The only way out of this dilemma is to let go of both at once. You can't work your way out of this with your mind. That's how man continues to live. In this way, happiness is not possible. Unhappiness is a natural consequence of a split personality. But deep down somewhere unity still survives. Zen is how to drop this divided mind of man and become undivided and integrated. Isolation. In our society, men in particular have been taught not to cry, to put a brave face on things when they get hurt and not show that they are in pain. Women can fall into this trap too, and all of us at one time or another might feel that the only way to survive is to close off our feelings and emotions so we can't be hurt again. If our pain is particularly deep, we might even try to hide it from ourselves. This can make us frozen, rigid, because deep down we know that one small break in the ice will free the hurt to start circulating through us again. The rainbow-colored tears on this person's face hold the key to breaking out of this isolation. The tears, and only the tears, have the power to melt the ice. It's okay to cry, and there is no reason to feel ashamed of your tears. Crying helps us to let go of pain, allows us to be gentle with ourselves, and finally helps us to heal. We are miserable because we are too much in the self. What does it mean? Either you can be in existence or you can be in the self. Both are not possible together. To be in the self means to be apart, to be separate. To be in the self means to draw a boundary line around you. The boundary self-isolates, and it makes you frozen. Love is warmth. If warmth starts melting, the boundaries will disappear. In love, the boundaries disappear. Postponement. The woman in this picture is living in a grey landscape, full of unreal, cut-out clouds. Through the window frame she can see colours and light and aliveness, and although she would like to move through the frame, as we can see by the rainbow colours appearing in her garment, she can't quite manage to do it. There is still too much what-if activity in her mind. Truth of it is, the one and only result of postponing things is a dull and depressing feeling of incompletion. The relief and expansiveness you will feel once you put aside all the dithering thoughts that are preventing you from acting now will make you wonder why you ever waited so long. Postponement is simply stupid. Tomorrow you will be older, your courage will be less. Your cunningness will be more. Never postpone for the tomorrow, who knows? Tomorrow may come or may not come. Make up your mind. Don't go on postponing infinitely. Comparison. Does the bamboo feel jealous of the oak because it is bigger? The very idea of the two trees comparing themselves to each other seems ridiculous, but we humans seem to find this habit very hard to break. Let's face it, there is always going to be somebody who is more beautiful, more talented, stronger, more intelligent, or apparently happier than you are. And conversely, there will always be those who are less than you in all these ways. The way to find out who you are is not by comparing yourself with others, but by looking to see whether you are fulfilling your own potential in the best way you know how. Comparison brings inferiority, superiority. When you don't compare, all inferiority, all superiority, disappears. Then you are simply there. The burden. When we carry a load of shoulds and shouldn'ts imposed on us by others, we become like this ragged, struggling figure trying to make his way uphill. If life these days feels like just a struggle, it could be time to shrug these characters off your back. You have your own dreams to fulfill, but you will never have the energy to pursue them until you release yourself from all the expectations you've gathered from others but now think are your own. Chances are they exist only in your own mind, but that doesn't mean they can't weigh you down. It's time to lighten up and send them on their way. A man's true life is the way in which he puts off the lie imposed by others on him. Stripped, naked, natural, he is what he is. The personality cannot become your soul. Recognize the fact that you are a lie, manipulated, cultivated by others. Politics. Do you recognize this man? The most innocent and sincere of us have a politician lurking somewhere in our minds. In fact, the mind is political. Its very nature is to plan and scheme and try to manipulate situations and people so that it can get what it wants. The important thing to realize about this card is that both faces are false. The trust me face is a mask, and the evil, toxic face is a mask too. Politicians don't have real faces. The whole game is a lie. Take a good look at yourself to see if you have been playing this game. What you see might be painful, but not as painful as continuing to play. It doesn't serve anybody's interest in the end, least of all yours. Whatever you might achieve in this way will just turn to dust in your hands. Anybody who can be a good pretender, a hypocrite, will become your leader politically. If you want to dominate humanity, make it weak, make it feel guilty, make it feel unworthy. Guilt. Guilt is one of the most destructive emotions. If we have wronged another, then of course we will feel bad. But to let ourselves be overwhelmed, to the point where we cannot see any of the joy that life is trying to offer us. We punish ourselves for our failures by feeling guilty. We can get locked into a cycle of despair and hopelessness that robs us of all clarity about ourselves and the situations we encounter. You are absolutely okay as you are, and it is absolutely natural to go astray from time to time. Just learn from it, move on, and use the lesson not to make the same mistake again. This moment, this here now is forgotten when you start thinking in terms of achieving something. When the achieving mind arises, you lose contact with the paradise you are in. This is one of the most liberating approaches. It liberates you right now. Sorrow. You misunderstand. This pain and sorrow has the potential to be times of great transformation. But in order for transformation to happen, we must go deep, to the very roots of our pain, and experience it as it is, without blame or self-pity. This pain is not to make you sad, remember. This pain is just to make you more alert, because people become alert only when the arrow goes deep into their heart and wounds them. The arrow is hurting, it can be used. When life is easy, comfortable, convenient, who cares? Who bothers to become alert? The pain is not to make you miserable, the pain is to make you more aware. And when you are aware, misery disappears. Rebirth. This card depicts the 3 levels of camel, lion, and child. The camel is sleepy, dull, self-satisfied. He lives in delusion, thinking he's a mountain peak, but really he is so concerned with others' opinions that he hardly has any energy of his own. Emerging from the camel is the lion. When we realize we've been missing life, we start saying no to the demands of others. We move out of the crowd, alone and proud, roaring our truth. But this is not the end. Finally the child emerges, neither acquiescent nor rebellious, but innocent and spontaneous and true to his own being. Whatever the space you're in right now, sleepy and depressed, or roaring and rebellious, be aware that it will evolve into something new if you allow it. It is a time of growth and change. Everything passes by you. Your consciousness reflects it, but it does not get identified. Your consciousness is only a mirror, simply reflecting these states of consciousness. Consciousness. The influence of the mind in our lives is generally either ridiculous or oppressive. But this card of consciousness shows a vast Buddha figure. His head is pure emptiness. He represents the consciousness that is available to all who become a master of the mind and can use it as the servant it is meant to be. When you choose this card, it means there is no desire to understand from the perspective of the mind. The understanding you have now is in harmony with the pulse of life itself. Accept this great gift and share it. Abundance. In one hand he holds a lotus, showing that he respects and contains within himself the grace of the feminine. His exposed chest represents an open heart, and relaxed belly shows that he is at home with his masculinity, as well utterly self-contained. Who sits atop of the book of wisdom of life. If you are a woman, the King of Rainbows brings the support of your own male energies into your life, a union with the soul mate within. For a man, this card represents a time of breaking through the conventional male stereotypes and allowing the fullness of the whole human being to shine forth. Flowering. The Queen of Rainbows is very sexual, very alive, and full of possibilities. Abundance is spreading everywhere, in sheer celebration of life and love. Spread your joy around for all to share. This is real compassion, this is real love, sharing your enlightenment. Slowing down. Just like this tortoise, we carry our home with us wherever we go. There is no need to hurry, no need to seek shelter elsewhere. Even as we move into emotional waters, we can remain self-contained and free from attachments. It is a time when you are ready to let go of any expectations you have had about yourself or other people, and to take responsibility for any illusions you might have been carrying. There is no need to do anything but rest in the fullness of who you are right now. If desires, hopes, and dreams are fading away, so much the better. Their disappearance is making space for a new quality of stillness and acceptance of what is, and you are able to welcome this development in a way you have never been able to before. Savor this quality of slowing down, of coming to rest and recognizing that you are already at home. Adventure. In adventure, we are moving full of trust. Out of the darkness into the light we go step by step, drawn into the unknown. Adventure really has nothing to do with plan and maps and programs and organization. The Page of Rainbows represents a quality that can come to us anywhere. When we move into the new and unknown, even the smallest things of life can become the greatest adventurers. The very search will help you to grow. Moment to moment. This figure moves across the stones, absolutely balanced and alert. This card challenges us to move away from our preoccupations and stay alert to what is happening in the here and now. Drop all your judgments and attachments. Be available to what comes your way, as it comes. Don't worry if you stumble or fall, just yourself up, and carry on. The right person is one who lives moment to moment. You can be in the present only if you are not ambitious, no desire to achieve power, money, prestige, even enlightenment, because all ambition leads you into the future. Only a non-ambitious man can remain in the present. A man who wants to be in the present has not to think. Experience will come, but experience has not to be premeditated. Guidance. This card represents the guide that each of us carries within. Like the second figure in the background, we may sometimes be a little reluctant to trust this guide, because we are so accustomed to taking our cues from the outside rather than from the inside. Your own deepest being is trying to show you where to go right now. When this card appears, it means you can trust the inner guidance you are being given. It speaks in whispers. You have to look for guidance. You have to find the inner guide, and that's what I call your witness. You have to awaken the Buddha in your life. You will become radiant. The miser. This woman has created a fortress around herself, and she is clinging to all the possessions she thinks are her treasures. In fact, she has accumulated so much stuff with which to adorn herself, that she has made herself ugly in the effort. This card challenges us to look at what we are clinging to, and what we feel we possess that needs to be protected. Whatever you're holding on to, you can't take it with you. Loosen your grip and feel the freedom and expansiveness sharing can bring. Remember, our treasures become tarnished and worthless if we refuse to share them. The moment you become miserly, you are closed to life. The moment you start clinging to things, you have missed the target. Because things are not the target. Your innermost being is the target, not a beautiful house, a beautiful you. Not money, but a rich you. The outsider. The small child in this card cannot see that the chain holding the gate is not locked. All he has to do is open it. Whenever we feel left out, or excluded, it brings up this feeling of being a helpless child. As the feeling is deeply rooted in our earliest childhood experiences. The problem is that it plays over and over again, like a tape, in our lives. You have an opportunity now to stop the tape, to quit tormenting yourself with ideas that you are somehow not enough to be accepted and included. Recognize the roots of these feelings in the past, and let go of the old pain. It will bring you the clarity to see how you can open the gate and enter that which you most long to become. So you are feeling yourself an outsider. Now you have to be alert not to fill yourself with pain and misery. Be a man, be a woman, and stand on your own feet. You have been disconnected. That disconnection was absolutely necessary to make you an individual in your own right. Compromise. The two figures on this card remind us of the sleazy and conspiratorial situations we can get into when we compromise. It is one thing to meet another halfway, to understand a point of view different from our own and work towards a harmony of the opposing forces. It is quite another to cave in and betray our own truth. If we look deeply into it, we usually find that we are trying to gain something, whether it is power or the approval of others. If you are tempted, beware. The rewards of this kind of compromise always leave a bitter taste in the mouth. Don't be clever, otherwise you will remain the same, you will not change. It will not help. But to ask for help is against the ego, so you try to compromise. This compromise will confuse you. So try to understand why you hanker for compromise. Sooner or later you will be able to understand that compromise is not going to help. And compromise may be a way of not going in either direction, or it may be just a repression of your confusion. Patience. There are times when the only thing to do is to wait. The seed has been planted, the child is growing in the womb. This card reminds us that now is a time when all that is required is to be patient. The woman pictured here is in just such an attitude. With no trace of anxiety, she is simply waiting. She knows it is a time to be passive, letting nature take its course. She knows it is time to be ready for something momentous. It is a time when the only thing to do is to wait. We have forgotten how to wait, and it is our greatest treasure to be able to wait for the right moment. We have forgotten to wait, we want everything in a hurry. Ordinariness. This figure walking in nature shows us that beauty can be found in the simple, ordinary things of life. We so easily take this beautiful world we live in for granted. Cleaning the house, tending the garden, cooking a meal, the most mundane tasks take on a sacred quality when they are performed with your total involvement, with love, and for their own sake, without thought of recognition or reward. You are facing a time now when this ordinary approach to the situations you encounter will bring far better results than any attempt on your part to be brilliant, clever, or otherwise extraordinary. The special gift you have to offer now is presented best by just taking things easily and simply, one step at a time. Sometimes it happens that you become one, in rare moments you forget your split. And you relax. Ripeness. The fruit has recognized its ripeness and simply let it go. When this card appears in a reading, it indicates that you are ready to share your inner riches, your juice. All you need to do is relax right where you are, and be willing for it to happen. This sharing of yourself, this expression of your creativity, can come in many ways, in your work, your relationships, your everyday life experiences. No special preparation or effort on your part is required. It is simply the right time. The time is always the right time. There is no such thing as wrong time. We are the world. Depicted here, people with their hands joined together in joy and gratitude for the gift of life. This card represents a time of communication, of sharing the riches that each of us brings to the whole. There is no clinging here, no grasping. It is a circle without fear of feelings of inferiority and superiority. We recognize that we are all joined together in the great miracle of existence. Life has been given to you to create, and to rejoice, and to celebrate. When you cry and weep, when you are miserable, you are alone. When you celebrate, the whole existence participates with you. Maturity. This figure stands alone, silent and yet alert. His joy and maturity cannot be diminished by externals. All of life's experiences have brought him to this time of perfection. When you draw this card, know this moment carries a gift for hard work well done. Your base is solid now, and success and good fortune are yours, for they are the outcome of what has already been experienced within.